Hello, my name is Leanne Hadley, and I'm so glad that you're here for Pieta tonight. We have been using this book, Trust in the Light, and we've been reading stories of different people for the last 4 weeks, actually. We've been doing this for 4 weeks now, and it's a collection of the lives of people who have trusted in the light. And tonight, we're not going to look at the actual lives of the people, although I do want to start with a happy St. Patrick's Day to you. And I want to give you a little history of St. Patrick just because I love him. And I think he says a lot about, well, he had a life which went into the dark and came out in the light. So I thought it was only appropriate, since I'm making this on the eve of St. Patrick's Day, to talk about St. Patrick. So, St. Patrick was born in England, actually, and he was kind of a bratty kid. Sounds pretty normal to me, like a healthy little boy, played and did things like that. And then when he was 16 years old, the pirates came to England, and they were pirates from Ireland, and they kidnapped him and they sold him into slavery, and he became a shepherd for 6 years. He escaped, went back home to England, and he had a lot of time while he was shepherding to think about life, the meaning of life, things like this. He got home and he dedicated his life to God. And then God asked a very powerful thing for him. And I believe this time in his life was even darker than when he was in slavery, because God said to him, I want you to go back to Ireland. Well, he didn't want to go back to Ireland. That's the last place on earth he wanted to go. And God said, but I need you to go because you know the culture and you've been there. Please go back to Ireland and tell them about my love. And I think that with all the PTSD he had to have from being a slave there, to be sent back there had to be the darkest thing that he ever faced. But he went, and he made a huge difference in their lives. It was only a few years later that he was made the patron saint of Ireland. And now when you think of Ireland, you think of St. Patrick's Day. So part of what we do with St. Patrick's, though, is we make him like a little leprechaun or something. But he really was a beautiful leader for God. And I just want to read some of your quotes for him to get us in the mood of the night. One of his most beautiful ones is a prayer that he prayed all the time. Christ beside me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ within me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me. And then he said, the Lord is greater than all. I have said enough. St. Patrick did not think he was anything special. He thought he was an average person. Many times he talked about himself being a sinner, an uncultivated person, not very learned, and he knew that he could do great things, not on his own, because he didn't believe he was anything special or anything even worthy to do good things. But he believed so much in God, in God's light, that with God, he knew that he could do all things. So without God, I can do nothing. With God, I can do all things. And that's St. Patrick, who was such a humble and beautiful servant of God all the days of his life. He is a beautiful example of someone who trusted in the light, even though he had 2 severe times of darkness in his life. And both times, the light guided him and led him, and it changed the lives of those around him. So tonight, I want us to ponder kind of 2 things. The first is, what is it about people who shine with the light of God? What common characteristics do they have? So for example, one of them is like St. Patrick. They don't think they're special. They think they're an average person. Now, other people may look at them and think, oh, they're so special. But for St. Patrick, he was like, I'm nothing. I'm not special at all. He didn't think he was special. So that's one thing that I think most all of these saints, or not saints, all these people who walked in the light have. They don't think they're special. So that's one thing. The second thing I think that unites them all is that they had some kind of trauma, something that woke them up. So whether it be a war that they faced, a discovery that they made, there was some moment, a turning point for them where they said, I used to be this and now I'm this. Those are two examples, but there are a lot of examples of these people and what made them special or what made them stand out. Like, what are the characteristics that unite these people? I want you to take a few moments and ponder that and then share with your group what characteristics these people had and what sort of, just the characteristics that they share. And you'll see it. There's patterns. You'll see it. Okay, so that's the first question. What characteristics do these people have that helped them to be people who not only trusted in the light, but followed the light and made the world better for other people? Okay, that's the first question. The second question of the night is, where did this light come from? Like, some of the people in this book are Christian, some of them are not. Some of them were really good people, and some of them made huge mistakes. Is it always God's light, or is there God's light and some other light? And how do you know if it's God's light? So ponder that tonight and ask yourselves, did each of these people, like even a Jewish person, or maybe somebody that has no faith, is that still the light of God? Where does the light that we're talking about come from? And does it just shine in certain people's lives and not in others? And how do we discern who's got the light and who doesn't? So spend some time tonight thinking about those. And then I suppose there's a third question, which is, what about the people who have done bad things in the midst of being the light? Maybe they've had an extramarital affair when they were out, fighting for civil rights. Or maybe they made a huge mistake and they covered it up and they were a scientist. Can we still experience the light? What do we do with those people? Do we stop reading them? Do we stop embracing them? What do we do? So 3 questions to ponder tonight as we go deeper. Next week, I want you to bring a story of your own, of somebody that you would put in this book. Maybe a story of a president or a person that you read about when you were a child, somebody that inspired you as a child, whatever. Who would you add to this book who's not in it? Or is there one person in this book that you're like, that person has to be in here because they inspire me so, so much. So think about that for next week. And then the following week, we're going to tell our own stories. And then we'll take a week off for Easter. After Easter, we're going to read a book called The Amen Effect. And it's a beautiful book about the power of showing up for one another. So I think we're going to have a great Easter, and then a great Lent and Easter, and then a great time for the 50 days of Easter, which lasts until June. So that'll be all of May. All right. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Let's say our Pieta prayer, and then you can get to work discerning. This is going to be a great conversation night. Let me be in the world with nothing to prove, letting go of all expectations and judgment. May I give and receive compassion. May I care for others and receive their care. May I love deeply and receive love. May I be in the world with nothing to prove. May I be Pieta. Thank you for being part of Pieta. As we continue to question, what is the light? Where does it come from? Who gets it? What are the characteristics of people who can share the light? And what do we do when somebody who's shared their light with us disappoints us? Can we still trust in them? Good questions tonight. I hope you have a wonderful discussion. I'll see you soon. Thank you for being part of Pieta.